and welcome to Getting to Good Enough, a podcast to help you let go of perfectionism so you can do more of what you love. I'm Shannon Wilkinson, a life coach in Portland, Oregon. I'm a recovering perfectionist who's getting better at good enough.
And I'm Janine Adams, a certified professional organizer in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm lucky enough to be naturally good at good enough. I've never said that before.
But today we're talking about travel.
Hey Shannon, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good too. It's nice to talk to you. It feels, we skipped a week of recording because of travel, and it feels like it's been forever.
I know, it's so true. It really does. I've gotten used to our weekly conversations.
Yes, yep. I have to warn you, it's 4th of July. It's almost the 4th of July as we're recording this. And in my neighborhood, the fireworks start early. So there could be random firecracker sounds that you hear in the background. Just know it's not gunfire, probably. It's just
probably
to be ignored. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, hopefully that won't happen.
Right.
I mean, it's, you know,
just didn't want you to be alarmed if you heard something.
Like, especially if you were silent on the other end of it.
Right, yikes.
Oh boy. So travel. You just got back from a trip.
Yes, I got back on Friday, which was today's Monday, so just a couple days ago, from a 5-day trip that I keep talking about on the podcast, which is was my genealogy research trip, and it was great. It was great. Although it was nice to be home. It's nice to get home.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I'm curious. Did you consciously use any of the things we've been talking about in terms of travel? I know you used it in terms of planning your genealogy research and stuff, because we talked about that, but...
You mean, are you saying on during the actual trip, was I embracing good enough and thinking about letting it be easy and that there's no one right way to do it, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say so, yeah. I mean, I built in quite a little bit of flexibility into the trip purposely, mindfully, and I used it right away. So it was, I think so. I mean, I tried really hard to not get wrapped up in making sure that I squeezed something out of every single moment, because I knew that I would burn out if I did. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't burn out, but the thing I didn't take into account on a 5-day genealogy research trip that includes about 10 hours of driving time round trip is that's a lot of genealogy research. Doing nothing but genealogy research for like 8 hours a day for 5 days it did make my brain very tired.
Yeah, so, I bet. That is a lot.
It's funny, I kind of hadn't taken that into account because I was so anxious to do it. But no, it was great, and I needed to shift gears occasionally. Like, I had a plan, like I had a schedule, what I was going to do each day, where I was going to go each day, and I shifted it up from, like as I said, like from the first day. But that worked out just fine. And the things that I had planned were more, really, I treated them more like placeholders. Like, these are the things I wanted to make sure I did. For example, one of the things I needed to do was go to the Kentucky Department of Vital Statistics to get a birth certificate. And I had planned to do that on Tuesday afternoon, and they closed at 3:30, and that was going to mean I had to leave where I was at noon. And I'm liking where I was at noon. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't really have to leave. I can go to the Department of Vital Statistics a different day. And so that's what I did. And that was great. So I had to go a fuller time at the Owensboro Public Library. I mean, the Davis County Public Library in Owensboro.
Oh, that's great.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. It was nice also to just be the captain of my own ship, right? I didn't have to nobody was counting on me to be anywhere specific at any specific time, except I guess the bed and breakfast person. But in fact, I got back to the bed and breakfast at 7 p.m. after dinner, and she's like, I was about to send a search party out for you.
Jeez. Is it one of those towns that closes down like early?
I would imagine so. It was a very small town. and the place I had dinner was literally across the street from the bed and breakfast. So I did get lost a few times, but I wasn't worried. It's like I was talking to Barry. Oh, I took a wrong turn. I knew I'd done it. And then because I was in rural Kentucky, it was like 5 miles to get back. There was nowhere to turn again.
Right. It wasn't like you could just go around the block.
Exactly. And my city mentality, that's what I was going to do. And it was like 5 miles before I could make a turn. But it was all good. Didn't matter at all.
Oh, good. Well, yes. And I know from traveling with you, just in terms of travel in general, that you use a lot of good enough principles for packing.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think what you're referring to.
To like your clothes, like what you wear. Like my favorite story is when you went to New York. You had like this really sort of complicated trip where you went to like 3 different places and...
Yeah. I had a trip where I went to the NAPO conference, followed by a weekend, 5 days in New York, followed by a wedding. So just very different clothes that had to be worn.
Yeah.
And I had to pick it all in a carry-on because I was taking a train. I couldn't check a bag. I took a train from Pittsburgh to New York. So I wore the same thing every single day in New York.
I love that.
And it was black, of course.
Right.
I loved that too. Absolutely. And I did. For this Kentucky trip, I knew that I was going to be inside. One day I was in cemeteries, but the rest of the time I was in libraries and things. And so I knew, even though it was July in Kentucky, or June, I would be cold because I would be in libraries.
Right, because it'd be air conditioned, and they keep it really cold, especially if there are, historical books and older books, they keep it so cold in those rooms.
Right, exactly. So I just wore my winter clothes, and I knew I was going to a different place every day. So first of all, no one's going to notice what I'm wearing anyway. But I only brought a few things, and that worked out great.
Yeah, that's such a great thing. It's so easy to overpack when you're traveling. It's nice to have a couple things in case you spill on something. But, but other than that.
Yeah, and in my case, when I knew I was going to be sitting on my butt, either in a car or in a library or something, every single day, I packed for comfort. So, I was wearing, leggings and things leggings and tunics, my friends' leggings and tunics. But I did bring like a lightweight shirt and white pants to change into so that I could go out to dinner and not look like a freak. And also not
in your winter
hot.
leggings and tunics.
Right.
I think that's so great. My packing has changed so dramatically over the years. I remember like packing in my like late teens, early 20s, and feeling like I had to have like a completely different outfit with different shoes every day, and like lugging a huge suitcase. And then I sort of went to the other end and traveled for 4 weeks with just a backpack.
Right, when you went to New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Or was that? Yeah, that was amazing. That's so interesting that you've had those extremes. And you're about to take a trip in about a month, right? And
yes.
How long is that trip?
That trip is 7 nights.
Oh,
so
and it's an Alaskan cruise?
It's an Alaskan cruise, yeah.
How do you travel? How do you dress for that?
I have no idea. And we're doing, you could do excursions at each port that you go into, and one of our excursions is going onto a glacier. So,
okay. It's going to be cold.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
then, yeah. So, but the interesting thing is, you have to get your luggage from, however you get there, because it leaves out of Seattle. And so we'll drive up. And so, we'll have to handle our luggage. But then once you go to get on the ship, they take your bag and then they put it in your room for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the night before you disembark, you pack your bag except for what you need for the next day, which, you need to have like a little carry-on. And you pack your bag and they come and pick it up. And then it's waiting for you when you get off the ship.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and it's a cruise that includes a continuing medical education conference on it, which is why we're going on it. So Mike can get his continuing medical education. Mm-hmm. And, so it's like, and it's like a fancier cruise than some, like maybe a Carnival cruise might be. So I don't know, like there's a dress code.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That gives me pause. Huh.
Yeah. I didn't really realize all of that until I was digging into it in the last week. But so it'll take a little bit of, thought for me to pack for this trip in a reasonable way.
Yeah, and not overpack, because I would imagine with it, that there would be a little fear-based packing going on. You weren't quite interpreting the dress code appropriately or whatever. But you'll look fabulous no matter what you take. So,
that's very kind of you.
I will share this with you. I went to Alaska once, back in my garden writer days. I went to a garden writers conference, which was lovely. And we trooped around to gardens and I went to a glacier and all that stuff. And it was August. And I remember that when I was packing in St. Louis for this trip in August, I couldn't conceive of being cold, right? Because it was so darn hot where I was. Right. And I'm pretty sure the day we went to the glacier, I literally wore everything I packed. Yeah. I did not pack enough warm stuff. It's like I forgot how to do that because it was August.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I had to pack for extremes like this. Well, not this extreme, but pretty extreme, when we went on our honeymoon, because we were in Paris for a week where it was burning hot and humid. And then we were in Iceland for a week where it was cold and rainy.
Right. I remember that. That's tough.
Yeah. And I think what I ended up doing was wearing a lot of bringing a couple sleeveless dresses. And so in Paris, I just wore a sleeveless dress and then carried a scarf that I could put over my shoulders if we went in anywhere where I needed that, and sandals. And then in Iceland, I layered a shirt under it, a sweater over it, and leggings and socks and boots. But it worked really well.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could, that's good. You could probably employ something similar on your cruise. I'm going to assume you're going to have different temperatures in the various places you go. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. But, I have no way of knowing.
Right.
I mean, I can look, but who knows what happens? Because I think that's sort of one of the things is that the weather can change.
Right. Yeah, this summer in particular, we can't go by historical norms. It doesn't seem like anywhere. Everything's different. So my big challenge in my genealogy research trip was less the logistics of clothing and stuff like that, because as I say, I was totally on my own. But it was about, like, what was I going to research and what was I going to do there. And I will say that Trello was my friend. It was,
Yeah.
I had a couple of different Trello boards set up for a couple of different things, and I used it constantly, and every time I opened it, it was so pleasing.
Well, you have totally turned me on to Trello again, which I have used a couple of times in the past, but there were some things that just felt kind of clunky to me about it, which I recently solved, and I just shared with you that because one of the things I use Safari as a browser. And there was no way you would have to copy and paste links onto a Trello card. Mm-hmm. And that just always felt too cumbersome, like way too much work.
I was good. That was a lot of effort. Whoa.
But I discovered that Trello has set up this amazing thing. It's a bookmark. And so you put it in your bookmarks, and when you're on the web page that you want to save to a Trello card, you just click the bookmark and it creates a card for you. It's completely magic.
Yeah, you shared it with me just before we started recording, and my mind is blown, and I'm so excited, especially the fact it captures an image from the website typically, and so you have a pretty card that you make from it.
Yes. Yeah, so I used that to start a Trello board for our Alaska trip, and it's just so nice to I'm just sticking everything in there, and now everything we have so far lives there, and it's easy to see. There's pictures, so I know what each thing is. I actually was able to use a picture of the schedule, so I know each day where we're at and how long we're in port. And that's the picture, so I don't even have to open the card to see it.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was life-changing for me with using Trello.
Oh, yeah. That's that does make a big difference. And Trello, for things like planning a trip, I think one thing that's so great about it is it's so easy to drop and drag cards. And I was moving the order of my lists. I would have on one of my boards I had a list for each day, and as I went to the next day, I could just move the new day's list so it's front and center. And,
right.
And attachments, and I had a few frequently a few documents I consulted frequently. One was the years that each county had different kinds of records available, just the years they were collected. And I could easily just click on within Trello, click on the document and remind myself what those dates were. And
that's
was
great.
Really handy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I was just thinking about it, that I did something very similar, old school analog way with Post-it notes for a trip. We went to New York last year, and then for our honeymoon, and I made a Post-it note for each thing that we thought about doing, or each thing that we wanted to do, and then we sort of sorted them into like, what do we have to do? What will we be really sad if we don't go see or go do or have this experience? And then what's the other stuff that's sort of extra? And then I did this all in a note in my bullet journal, and then made the days, and then started sorting it out. So it would be like, we want to go to this place and this place. They're close to each other. Let's do that on the same day.
And you did that with physical Post-it notes?
Yeah, with physical Post-it notes in my bullet journal, which I had with me all the time anyway.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I did the same thing with this trip. The day when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do each day, I did the same thing. I made Post-it notes, physical Post-it notes.
Oh, did you?
I used the back of a clipboard. It only lasted for about 5 minutes because I got what I needed, and then I put it into Trello, and then I was good. But yeah, I will say, there's no substitute for a Post-it note that you can move around. But Trello is a pretty good substitute for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see doing the same thing. In fact, I think our oldest, Elliot, is goes to college in New York, and so we are thinking about going and visiting him again this fall. And so I created a Trello board. I just made it a travel Trello board and then put things that sort of popped up somewhere in there in different cities. So, if we go to New York, there's these like 3 things I heard about that would be fun to do in New York.
Yeah. So like an idea catcher.
Right.
Oh,
all for like places to visit. And it's so funny, like the more I use Trello, the more ways I think of using Trello.
I agree.
Yeah. I now have like 15 Trello boards.
Yeah. I just added a card in my task list on Trello that said declutter Trello boards, because I have more than that. I have way more than that. And I have lots of different kinds of task boards. And, as we've talked about, I like to switch it up. So I got rid of one today that never really took.
Oh, well, that's good. It is good to sort of keep on top of that.
Yeah. It would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of other ways that like perfectionism can get in the way of travel. And I think it's very conceivable that you could miss out on doing anything by trying to come up with the perfect thing. Like for summer travel, like a summer vacation or something like Absolutely. That.
Right. If you think, okay, this year I'm taking the trip.
Yeah.
And you can't figure out what the trip is because nothing's good enough to be the trip.
Right. And then by the time you figure it out, if you do, everything's booked.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And don't have to go big or go home. That's the expression.
go big or stay home.
Right.
In this case.
Right. Yeah. I would imagine that would be true. Time is a way of slipping away. I'm feeling really proud that I actually took this research trip because I've been trying to do it for a few years now, right? Because hadn't made the commitment, I guess. But
right.
Yeah, and I think even if you decide on a destination, it would be pretty easy to get caught up in trying to find the perfect place to stay. And
yes.
That can get very overwhelming. I think Airbnb helps me anyway, because it limits the choices. And if I choose to, sometimes it's more exciting and more fun to stay in an Airbnb than a hotel that isn't very great. And I apparently never want to spend the money for hotels that are great. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So I was glad to stay in an Airbnb on this trip. And once I found it, boom, that was easy. I found an Airbnb that was 1 block from one of the repositories I was going to.
That's amazing. That's so awesome.
Yeah. And so that day I never drove.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
It was nice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was thinking about, for several years now, Mike and I have wanted to do just a weekend camping trip, but we haven't done it because we keep and I know this is like your biggest nightmare. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, oh, well, if we're just going to go camping one weekend this summer, we have to go to the best place for camping.
You have fallen victim to this very thing you're talking about. Uh-huh.
I know. And I wasn't really thinking about it when we first brought it up. But then as you were talking, I was thinking about, well, it's not even just like, the having to figure out the best trip, but just going camping where, we just sort of want to get out of town for a while. There are a million places around Portland that are easy to get to, great camping, super fun, would be ideal for what we want to do. And we just never figured it out because there were so many choices. It was a bit overwhelming, and we didn't know which was the right one if that was the only trip we were going on.
Right. I tell you, having too many choices is also paralyzing. I mean, yeah.
I think that is an episode that we need to put into the queue.
Yes, I could talk about that for ages. I'm so much happier when I have few choices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should, it's not camping, but you guys should take a weekend getaway to Walla Walla. Enjoy some wine and good food.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I think that would be really fun.
It's such a pretty drive, I think, from Portland.
It is.
Yeah. I can recommend an Airbnb if you want.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to figure that out when I can travel.
Oh, right. You sound so able-bodied. I forgot that you weren't.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I see the doctor this week and I get to start doing some weight bearing.
Oh, wow. That's good.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping. But, I mean, it's been almost 6 weeks, so that's what he
amazing.
told me, that it would be 6 weeks on crutches, but he'd try to get me off them sooner.
It really has only been 5 weeks, hasn't it?
It was 5 weeks last Friday, so it'll be 6
Today's
weeks
Monday.
this Friday. It's
Okay.
5.5 weeks.
Okay.
Let me tell you, if you were the one on crutches,
I'd
you
be
would
saying-
definitely be rounding up.
Okay, you're right. Okay. Fair enough. It's just, I was thinking, gosh, I was there more recently than 6 weeks ago, wasn't I? Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were here 4 weeks ago.
And 5
Because
weeks
you
ago.
came, 4 and 5 weeks ago.
Right. I came the day after your surgery, right?
Right, and then you came back a week
A week
after.
later. Yeah, and that does make my perspective skewed. It does feel shorter than that because it was. Well, fingers crossed that you can do weight bearing exercise and that your progress is such that you'll be able to enjoy your cruise to its fullest.
Well, and that was the whole reason for the timing. And as soon as we sort of decided that we'd given it 6 months and it wasn't going to heal on its own, to get going right away so that I would hopefully be better off in time for the cruise. But I don't know if I'll be better off in time for the cruise, but I should be walking in time for the cruise.
Oh, yeah, it'd be great if you were at least as good as you were before the surgery.
Yeah.
By the time of the cruise.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I felt so limited before the surgery. Mm-hmm. Now that seems like, oh my God, it would be a dream come true to be able to walk for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, poor thing. Well, that brings to my mind something that I try to advocate for myself and others when it comes to travel, which is building in some solid self-care. I mean, it can be really tempting to try to cram as much as you can into every single day when you're on vacation. But if it doesn't help your health, in your case, if you tire, whatever, if you wreck yourself the first day, you're going to be in trouble the rest of the trip.
Right. Well, and the good news about this particular trip is that there's 4 ports. So there's 4 active days out of 8. So the rest of the time I can just lay around and, elevate my leg and ice it if I need to.
Yeah, and look like a normal person. Everyone's going to be lying around and relaxing. I mean, that is good, and presumably the days are alternating. Is that right? Your rest days and your active days?
Not necessarily, because it depends on how long it takes the ship to get to the next port.
Mm-hmm. I see. Well, maybe one of our readers listeners will have been on one of these types of cruises, and will have advice for you in terms of
Ooh, I would
packing and
love
stuff.
any advice.
Yeah.
I would love any advice. But I did want to mention something about that building in self-care that you just brought up. That's one of the rules that I've sort of created for myself and whoever is traveling with me. If the trip is 5 days or more, I have to have at least a half day in the middle, if not a full day, of doing nothing.
Oh, that's a great rule.
Yeah. So, because what I noticed is, especially on like 4 or 5 day vacations, or trips, you can you try to pack so much in, and it's exhausting. And then by the last day, you're like so exhausted you can't even enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
whereas just a little break in the middle would make a big difference.
Yeah.
Right.
So, just an afternoon, even if you're just sitting at a coffee shop reading or something, but just, where you're kind of resting and you're not taxing your body or your brain, taking in a movie or something like that, just to like sort of get out of the place of trying to see everything or do everything.
That's great advice. And it brings to mind something we've talked about before on the podcast, which is your policy, if you will, of coming home, ending the trip with a day of rest before you have to get back to real life. So you come home on Saturday instead of Sunday if you have to go back to work on Monday, for example. That's this time I came home on Friday, which was great because Saturday felt like Sunday. And then I had another day.
And then you're like, woo, another Sunday.
Yeah, and I completely kicked back on Saturday. I watched Nashville on Hulu. I finished up on a gift I was knitting, and I worked on postcards to voters, for hours.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then yesterday I got back into the swing of getting ready for my work week and stuff. But I was awfully glad I did that. And I thought of you.
That's great.
I thought Shannon would be proud.
I am proud.
But I think that's really good advice.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? When you started to say that, I thought you were going to say, think about why you're going on the trip.
Oh, I should have. Yeah.
But that's also a good thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
are you there to unwind? In my case, I was there to learn, to do genealogy research. So I was okay with the fact that my brain hurt.
Yeah.
It was part of the point, but I relaxed in the evenings.
Right. And we talked about this in, I think, The Myth of Right, when I think the context we talked about it in was how I sort of organized my wedding around how I wanted to feel and how I wanted people to feel. And that's a great way to organize your travel. Like, how do you want to feel on your trip? Do you want to feel like a local? Do you want to be a tourist? What kind of experience do you want to have? And then organize around that.
Yeah, thinking about that ahead of time. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you can make your plans accordingly without putting too much pressure on yourself, I would think.
Yeah.
I would think it could get tempting to then limit yourself. Maybe if you decided you wanted to experience it as a local, you might reject a fabulous tourist site just because. So
you'd rather prowl around local shops or something like that.
Right, but I'm saying leave open your options as well. Don't let it limit you. But I think that's a great idea. How funny that came nowhere near to what I was about to say. But it's a good one.
Yeah. All right. What else do you have to say about travel? Anything?
Let it be easy. Don't try not to overcomplicate things. I think that it's really easy to overcomplicate travel when it doesn't really need to be complicated. Like in my case, I cut out a couple of destinations on this 5-day trip so that I wasn't running around like crazy. That worked out great. I had plenty to do in the places I went.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would wholeheartedly agree to plan for less than you think you can do for a couple of reasons. One, that you don't sort of overtire yourself, get too, too compressed and not able to enjoy it, feel too constricted by your plan, but also so you can take advantage of things that come up, because they tend to.
Exactly, so that you can be spontaneous.
Yeah.
And if you, worst case scenario, you end up with not enough things on your plan, then you can just put your feet up for a while.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
I know, it does.
Well, we want to hear from you. What travel tips do you have? What do you struggle with travel? You can leave a comment for us on the show notes at gettingtogoodenough.com. You can let us know on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. We're at Getting to Good Enough, and on Twitter at GTG Enough, or you can leave us a message on the Getting to Good Enough hotline, which is 413-424-GTGE. That's 4843. But for now, this is Shannon Wilkinson in Portland, Oregon.
And Janine Adams in St. Louis, Missouri.
And we hope that good enough is getting easier for you. Plan more on my trip.
Yay, you're going to have a great time.
Yeah.